Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based here in the United Kingdom, right in the heart of the country in South Warwickshire. And today's project is using the lovely Timeless Tropical stamp set. You can see here some beautiful hibiscus flowers, floral images with sort of pineapple and palm trees as well, but some lovely fonts as well. A birthday, rest and relax, thank you, hello, friendship is timeless. So you've got every occasion covered pretty much. Rest and relax would be great for retirement, you know, someone going on holiday as well perhaps, or after an exam. So really useful. And this is the card we're making. And I've been playing with Pigment Sprinkles. One of my team asked me to do so. So I kind of went, okay, out of my comfort zone, bit messy, although I am very messy. So I'm going to do that today. Now, some of it I've had to prep before because of the time it takes for things to dry. But hopefully this will appeal to you. And you can see on the inside here, I've just added a layer of very vanilla as well. So that's what we're doing today. Let's get started. So, Pigment Sprinkles. These are watercolour crystals. They work really well. They're water activated. So the first thing you need to know is that you are going to get messy. I'm using watercolour paper, and the other thing that is a good idea for you to have on hand for this, apart from your Pigment Sprinkles, you can see here 6 colours, so you've got the really bright fun colours. I'm using a piece of the Timeless Tropical DSP. This is from the sampler pack, so I use the kind of Bird of Paradise one here. I think this one may well go better actually, so I'm using that one, and I'm using watercolour paper. Now I haven't got the new Fluid 100, so I'm using the older watercolour paper, but I understand they work even better on the new one, so you're going to need some of that as well. I've used some Sahara sand for my layer and the fabulous basket weave basket that you've got there. Basket weave? I don't think it's called basket weave. I'll double check and let you know what it's called, but it gives this gorgeous texture as well. Other things I am using some fabulous dies as well, which we can see here. And these are our lovely Stitch So Sweetly. So you've got super shapes and you've got lovely scalloped and stitched shapes as well. So I'm using just one of these labels here. And as you can see, what I usually do when I'm not die cutting, I add some extra, so I've always got one to hand. So there we go. Okay, let's crack on. So the first thing you're going to do is put everything to one side, and you need a non-porous surface. So if you've got a glass tabletop, I'm just using one of my Stamparatus plates, something nice and flat, smooth, non-porous. You're also going to need a stamping spritzer, which I have here, just filled with water, and you're going to need some pieces of watercolour card. So I've got a piece that is about 3 inches, that's 7.5 centimetres by 15 centimetres. So I'm going to do my flowers on here. Then I've got another piece that's just kind of 3 by 2 inches, which is for my leaves. And you're also going to need your stamps mounted up, and you're going to need StazOn ink. So really important, we're using water, so you want something that isn't going to bleed when you add water to it. So make sure your StazOn is really well inked up, and don't forget it does tend to dry out quite quickly. So I'm going to actually take my ink pad to my stamp. Okay, and then just stamp that flower like so. I'm then going to stamp 2 of the smaller flowers. Now obviously 2 ways, you could create your background first and then you could add your flowers. I'm doing it this way because where I'm adding my Pigment Sprinkles, I want to kind of try, I do say try, and create a yellower centre. So I've actually got space for an extra one on here. Always useful to have an extra flower. Okay, so those are my flowers. Those can go to one side. Then I've got my leaves. So I'm just going to stamp a couple of leaves on here. Okay. And you can see the beautiful depth of image you've got on there just with the stamping. Okay, pop all those to one side. I'll clean those. Don't forget you'll need to clean with Stays-On cleaner when you're cleaning a Stays-On stamp. Okay, so something I learned from one of the other demonstrators is when you're watercolouring, if you spray the back, that will help it stay in place. And then you are just going to spritz all over. Now you can see I've been playing with sprinkles because I've obviously got some on my desk somewhere. You will find that they get everywhere, so you have to really wipe down well. Have kitchen roll or wipes or both handy. And then all I'm doing is that you'll see they come in with a little lid on the centre, and I'm just adding the tiniest hints to the centre there, and you can see it's already activating. I'm then going to come in with the second colour, and this one is Melon Mambo. And again, just lift that lid. Wow, you can see there, that is activating just as soon as you put it on, and you get this fabulous watercolour effect. Now I probably haven't made that wet enough, you can see, but the beauty of this is just come in and add some more, and you can see those working their way. Now if you have on some tissue, hand and aqua paint or a brush, you can then move that around. So if you're kind of go, oh, I haven't got quite enough pink on that one, I want a little bit more, then that's fine. The next thing I would recommend is to come in, and if you've got any pools, just dab, and that will help it dry more quickly. Now I'm just going to quickly give a wipe, and then we'll do our green, because you can see then, and what the water crystals do, and pop that to one side. Now you can either leave that to one side to dry, or you can dry it with a heat gun. And when you dry it with a heat gun, which I'll quickly do a little bit here, you get harder lines, so excuse the noise. So you can see here, you're starting to get a harder line appearing, which is what you'll get if you dry it artificially. So I'm going to pop that to one side somewhere to dry. I'm going to quickly wipe, you see here, and so they really do, it gets absolutely everywhere, which is probably the reason you can see I've been playing with it, because I'm very messy. So I'm going to do the same with the leaves. Quick spritz. Come in with the sprinkles, and this one I must have had a faulty one. I haven't got the little lid, so I'm going to have to use a bit of paper, washi tape on there. Now the green comes out orange. Don't be concerned, because you can see there it's got beautiful blues in it as well. Got blue and green, and again just a quick spritz, and you get fabulous colours. Move that about. You can pick it up. You can see I've probably got a little bit too much there. Just dab it away. Add a bit more water as you want. You know, again, come in with your heat tool if you want to. But there you have another fabulous effect, and no two cards are going to end up the same, which, you know, if you like precision, this may not be the technique for you. If you want to just have a go, then go for it. Okay, so now we've got over some of the messiest bits. Let's actually have a look at card construction. So I'm actually going to take off this piece of paper because that is contaminated, and let's crack on with the rest of it. So I've created a card base, 29 centimetres by 10.5 for my base. I've got a layer of rather grubby Very Vanilla there. I think I'm going to have to change that. I'll stamp on it now, but it really is, I've obviously contaminated it. And I've also got a piece of the stamp, the piece for the sentiment. I've already die cut using those sweet Stitch So Sweetly images. Okay. And I'm just going to come in using my Melon Mambo and add that. And I'm actually going to sort of slightly offset it, like so, because I just want that top section to be used. Okay. My inside, I'm using my lovely Granny Apple Green, and see here, I'm just going to stamp off to give a slightly lighter effect. Now obviously it's up to you entirely. This is the first colour you get with Granny Apple Green, and whilst that is lovely, I just want something a little paler for the inside of the card. So not quite a watermark, but almost. Put my ink away. So the next thing I've done is to cut a piece of Sahara sand. Okay, so I've cut my DSP already. So I've cut this to 10 by 14, so that's going to go as a layer onto the front there. And I've just used a slightly wider border, and to be honest with you, I might have even gone for a bigger border still if I'd thought about it. Just pop that on there. Okay. Just so you get the flowers around the edge. As I say, I might actually just take a ½ centimetre off that. So if you take a piece and make it 12.5 by 8.5, and then run that through the embossing folder. These are the 3D embossing folders, so things to remember: it's thicker than normal, so you will need either the blue plate or you will need to adjust with shims. So that's what I'm going to do there. And the blue plate that we use is a thicker plate, which is great for creating those using those 3D folders. The other thing you can do with your 3D folder is to actually add a bit of water to get the texture. So there we go. So actually, yes, I prefer that. You get a wider border just there. Now I'm actually going to add this flat because I'm going to be adding a bit of dimension with my next layers. So just pop that in the middle. Coastal weave, that's what it's called. It's not basket weave at all. Basket weave is the straight up and down one. This one's coastal weave. Now, once your paper comes back in and is dry, you can see a couple of pieces that I've created here already. You will have your leaves and flowers, and all I've done then is just come in and just good old fussy cut. There are dies that go with these. I haven't bought them, partly because it had a big pineapple in, which it wasn't something I felt I'd use so much. But you know, see what you think. Obviously it makes it easier to cut out some of the images, and again, as Stampin' Up's been doing for a while now with the dies, you don't just get dies to cut out the images, you get some lovely complementary shapes. So they are really useful and real statement pieces, and some of them emboss as well. As I said, there is a budgetary limit, although during Celebration you get some fabulous rewards. If you do spend, you know, for every £45 you're going to get the choice of an item. If you're spending £90, you get the choice of some of the speciality items, like the lovely little bloom punch or the Power of Hope bundle, which I've demonstrated as well. Now you can see here when I'm cutting out, well hopefully you can see, as I'm cutting out, I'm also going down into the flower slightly more. And that's just so when I shape these, I would mention. Now, the fact that this hasn't dried flat, I'm actually not bothered about. For this, I think it's perfect because it gives you the kind of texture of flowers as well. So what I've done by cutting down, I've cut into the flower a bit more. So you can see here, and just shape those. A bit of rubbish shaping on that petal. Just coming down into it. So when I come in with my bone folder, I can just add, and those petals separate out a bit more. so you just get a slightly more realistic flower. So let's do this. We can do the same on this one. Now you can see this one I didn't sort of stamp as well as I might have done, but I do like the colour of the paper that's sort of come through. There we go. So if you've got time, I like the softer effect of it drying naturally, but you know, we don't always have the time. And all I'm doing is I'm just running that paper through between my thumb and my bone folder, like so. So I've got a couple of leaves here, which again, if you just add a bit of shaping to those, they just become just that little bit more realistic. And then my final flower, I'm just going to cut down into. And obviously create as many flowers as you like, really. You could add different colours, you know. So this is very much using the sprinkles just to sprinkle on. I'll do another version where we'll use them as watercolour paints as well. That's the other option we have. And all I'm going to do now is grab my dimensionals. I'm going to pop a couple of dimensionals on the back of my sentiment. And I'm going to add my flowers. So one in the back of each of my flowers, mini ones on the smaller flowers, one on the end of each of my leaves, on the pointy bit, here we go. And let's construct our card. So, pop my flower here. I'm going to tuck this just behind. There we go. And then I'm going to cascade my flowers coming down. I've sort of started a little bit higher on this one than the other one. And then obviously add in a leaf or two, or three if you fancy. And there we have our Pigment Sprinkles card using our coastal weave. And as you can see, each card looks quite unique. Maybe which one do you prefer? I think probably the one that's a little bit further down. But hey, you do what you like. Thank you for watching. Come back and see me again soon. And if you want to purchase any of the products you've seen, pop along to my Stampin' Up shop, heidismith.stampinup.net, or alternatively pop along to my blog and you'll find links to all of the products. Bye for now.